Do you think that religions should be able to like change their argument? Like, for example, you know how obviously as science goes on, they change. Like maybe at one time they thought Pluto was a planet, but now they think that it's not. You know, and you know, as time goes on, I'm sure if we were to talk to a scientist, you know, 50, 100 years ago, you know, the beliefs have changed. Like I kind of get the picture that atheists always point to the Bible and they say, you know, obviously there are plenty of flaws in the Bible and things that, you know, I don't believe in. Like, but at the same time, whenever religion tries to change the argument, they point and they say, oh, it's like they're still holding us to the Bible. Like, can't religious people change their arguments as time goes on?
Hey, yeah, but David, those people 2,000 years ago were relying on what as their source of knowledge? Well, faith and claims of revelation. And people nowadays, religious people nowadays, are relying on what for their information? Faith and claims of divine revelation. So with science can honestly change over time because science is a process where actual evidence and our actual capability of collecting evidence and analyzing evidence changes and improves and expands over time. There's nothing in revelation and faith that justifies, oh, well, you know, those people were using faith, and faith is perfectly okay now, but we can just, we're not responsible for what people doing the exact same thing we're doing now came up with 2,000 years ago. You know, how come they couldn't, with their faith and claims of revelation, come up with the correct answer then?
Yeah, you've got to.
What's the excuse?
You've got to have some mechanism. You need some good reason to change. It's kind of funny because we were talking right before the show. For example, you raised Pluto. It's not that they once thought it was a planet and they discovered it's not. Pluto is a strange case. No, we still know what Pluto is. Whether or not we label it as a planet is something completely different. But you want to talk about big changes. Before the show, we were talking about a competing theory to the current Big Bang model. Now, I'm no expert at all, but if the Big Bang model turns out to be incorrect and this competing theory or some other competing theory turns out to be correct, the change will come because of evidence, because we have learned more and because we can point to things to show why what we thought was correct before is not correct or not as correct. But by the way, we do know enough that while the model may be whatever we discover to actually be true, or the next version of what we how we best describe reality, may be very, very different, it still has to explain all the same facts that this other model actually explains. It's not like we chuck away facts in order to appeal to a new model. Whereas when religions change, they already know what their goal is, and so they make attempts to interpret the evidence to fit the goal. The goal is always, let me demonstrate God exists, which is why you have these classical arguments for the existence of God, the cosmological, you know, Kalam.
Right, they're starting at the end and trying to fit it in, right?
Yeah, and they fall out of favor for a little while because they've been debunked, and then they get kind of reformed and redredged up, and it's because people are interested in leading the evidence where they want it to go instead of following the evidence where it leads, and that's the difference between religion and science. You show me a good reason. If a religious organization changes their views for good reasons, I'm all for that. Hell, I'm in favor of them changing them to better views, even for bad reasons, if for no other reason than it makes things better.